rebuilding. The catastrophic failure, a new start, physically, mentally, our careers, our businesses. Step back, first step, next step. The driver in me just wants to get it done tomorrow. We'll do this, do that, let's move this, where are we at with this? You build some confidence, build some self-esteem, start to feel better about yourself. The Silverback Blueprint Podcast, a show for men over 40 who focus on getting stronger, staying motivated, building discipline, creating a community, and becoming truly happy. Hey guys, and welcome to episode 48 of the Silverback Blueprint Podcast. Today we're going to talk about switching off. You know, a lot of the podcasts that we're doing, we're talking about, improving. We're talking about, working on the things you need to get worked on. We're talking about having goals. We're talking about being driven. We're talking about getting outside our comfort zone and doing things that are meaningful and getting ourselves, to create the ultimate version of ourselves that's inside us, rebuilding ourselves to that point. One of the things I want to talk about, though, because that's all great stuff and that's all hard work. We're working out in the gym and we're doing food prep and we're reading books and we're having positive conversations and we're doing all these amazing things. But something that's really important that we also do, guys, is every once in a while, we do have to switch off. Every once in a while, we do need to take a step back and chill. Go and just unplug. Now, it can be any version of unplugging that you have that's important to you, but it's really about it can be an hour, it can be a half a day, it can be a day, a weekend, a week, a month, depending where you're at in your journey and how much of that, effort and work has been building up and that kind of stuff, right? We tend to know when we kind of like, oh, dude, you know what? I need a break. I need to do something. We need to chill or whatever, right? When you start to feel that and that starts coming back a little more often, don't reward yourself because you've eaten 2 clean meals today and that's your start and you feel it's time to switch off and treat yourself. Calm down. You haven't done shit yet, right? But I mean, when you truly are moving forward and you've been lifting heavy and, you've been focusing on the mental stuff and, you're making these changes and progress is starting to happen, right? Listen, it's also important that you take some me time with the air quotes, right? Where we sit down and come up with a reward for ourselves or schedule a time in just to unwind, just to, let the brain chew on some bubble gum, you know what I mean? So that could be, your favorite Netflix show, that could be going out to a movie, that could be going out to dinner, that could be going for a round of golf, but do something that you haven't done, right? So if you've been working out and you've been doing all that great stuff, don't make it a workout. Go do something different. I've been thinking about getting back into the guitar. I played the guitar a lot when I was younger. I had many guitars. I have a few guitars. Now I have an acoustic and an electric one. And, I've been thinking about lately about, I miss playing. I don't even know where my goddamn guitar is in the house. It's somewhere, that kind of thing. But I mean, at the end of the day, right, I just sometimes would enjoy just sitting there and playing it, right? And then the danger is for me not to get carried away and all of a sudden I'm doing it 3 hours a day as well, right? I don't want it to be that. But finding a way to switch off. One of my favorite ways is to go see a movie in the theaters, right? Sometimes at night, if I can't sleep or I'm trying to unwind, I'll watch some TV or whatever and end up watching, 1 or 7 Netflix episodes or something, which isn't good. Try to catch myself on that. But at the end of the day, a treat for me is going off to the theater, getting some popcorn and chilling. And you know what? Kind of doing it in the afternoon, in the middle of the day is one of my favorite ways to do it because the theater's very empty. I might go with a buddy, but a lot of times I'll just go by myself and I'll just really get into the movie and watch the previews and just lose myself. When I was a kid, one of my favorite things to do, and this is when I was like 16, 17, I lived out in the country, but I would come into the big city of Ottawa, and on a Saturday, one of my favorite things to do was to walk up and down Bank Street. Now, back then in the mid-'80s on Bank Street, there was 5 or 6 cool arcades. There's 2 or 3 theaters, and that was my favorite thing to do, like once a month or once every couple of months, is just get there around 10 in the morning, hit one of the arcades when they open up, pound in a bunch of quarters and stuff, and then make it to a 12 o'clock movie, see something I wanted to see, get back out, get a burger, hit another arcade, and I would spend the whole day and evening into it. I would save my money up so I could sit there and do it. And I would do this by myself because I really, really enjoyed my own company, but I enjoyed being around the noise of the arcades. Those of you who are old enough to remember the arcades and stuff, it just had a noise, it had a sound, it had a smell to it. There was just something really cool. You saw all kinds of people. There was some crazy shit. There was some cool shit. You know what I mean? But it was a chance to be among the energy and stuff. I miss it to this day. I part of that business part of me is always like, we should open up an arcade, right? That kind of thing. You know, because I just love that feeling, right? But that was something cool I used to do. And that's the kind of thing where I want to look at, you know, making sure I program that into myself. You know, if I go to a meet and I'm competing, well, I'm competing. If I go to a meet and our team's competing and I have a booth there, I love it and I love being around it, but I'm still on. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still ready to engage. To me, it's super important that if someone comes up, I have a conversation with them. We talk about their training. We talk about what's going on. You know, we help them, you know, get their merchandise from us that they want. You know, see the brand building. It's all exciting, but I'm on. Do you know what I mean? What I'm talking about is switching off. Right? It could be something as simple as, hey, you know what? You haven't sat down with your favorite couple as a couple in a long time. Organize a dinner, go somewhere and stuff like that. Like, switch off and don't talk about yourself. Talk about them. Talk about what they're up to. Talk about the weather. Talk about, you know what I mean? Like, just get away from your normal everyday self, and you're going to recharge from that, and you're going to have a different perspective, and you'll hear things and see things that you're not able to hear and see when you're focused. If you're moving forward, like our last episode, our podcast episode was talking about moving forward towards our goals and destinations. If we're preoccupied with that, as we should be the majority of the time, we're going to miss some things around us. So this is a chance that when we're stepping back and we're switching off, I mean, switch off that day-to-day part, switch off the goal getting, switch off the professional version of you or whatever it is, right? Don't turn into a fucking lunatic or anything like that. But you know what I mean? If it's going back to the old neighborhood and hanging out with some friends you haven't seen in a long time, you know, that's what I'm talking about, right? Do that, but do it on a consistent, regular basis, but don't do it too often either, right? Don't over-reward yourself, because we're too easy on ourselves at the same time. Keep pushing, keep working towards those goals, but make sure in there you program that in. In training, we talk about programming deload into our training. So if we're always going heavy, if we're always going intense, it's important because we want to keep the body building and strengthening and improving, right? We want to keep that stress on there, so the body has to keep adapting and recovering. But every once in a while, there's a point where your body's just had enough, right? And it's going to take a step back anyway. It's just going to say, hey, it's too heavy today. I feel tired or whatever. So what we like to do in our training is every 6 to 8 weeks, depending on what's going on, we program a deload week. So what a deload week is we're still in the gym, but we're reducing the weight by 50%. We're reducing the intensity from 7, 8, 9 to like a 4 or 5, you know, just a mild workout, get some blood in there, walk out knowing you could do 5 times that. But that deload is going to let your body reset. It's going to let it catch up. It's going to let it, you know, you're kind of catching your breath. You know, all your energy systems and strength systems stuff are going to have a chance to fully recover before you go back into it again. And if you don't program it, right, then you can run into issues of overtraining, overstressing. You start becoming tired, regressing, right? Because the body every once in a while just needs to pull back. It's going to want to pull back, right? So get ahead of that and program the deload. So when I talk about switching off, I'm talking about deloading your brain, deloading your psyche a bit, you know, before it becomes a point where you're just so fucking tired of it that you break, you snap, you overreact on the littlest thing, right? Those are things that start to build up. So we need to have a time where we can just let that out. So some people, it's a nature walk, it's going camping. Some people is going out and getting liquored up and raving and stuff. That's cool too, if that's your thing, right? That kind of stuff, that's cool. That, whatever it is for you, right? Find that thing, get back to that thing and program it in there, you know, get into it and do it guilt-free. And that's sometimes hard for some people is, you know, oh, here I am, it's 2:00 in the afternoon on a Thursday, I'm watching a movie, but I really should get this done. And I'm saying, you know what, if you start switching off a little bit and you start deloading and you get that break from that, you're going to charge from that. You're going to recover better. You're going to be able to come back and hit it even harder because of it, because you're getting ahead of that stall that's going to come after so much time anyway, right? So again, but plan it, be purposeful with it, right? Don't let it just happen. Like anything else, don't let things just happen to us anymore. Be purposeful in what we do, right? And that's how we're going to achieve a lot more. Guys, that's all I have to say on that. Before I switch off Right? I always have to have the little silly puns. I don't know why I do that to myself. It's just what I do, that kind of thing. Head on over to iTunes. And like we talked about earlier, right from your iPhone, if you're using the iTunes or the Apple iPhone podcast app, right at the bottom of this episode, you can just scroll to the bottom and you can rate us right there. 5 stars. Boom. Tell us we're great. Tell us we're awesome. You have 7 of our hoodies and you can't wait for the next 5 to come out. It's all good. And while we're on that topic, guys, don't forget to head over to hostilegear.com. Use your discount code Silverback and get 20% off said hoodies. And look cool, be warm, and be a hostile, guys. And I'll talk to you guys later.